love, like many words, has a variety of definitions. Even in the Greek, we know of at least 3 words that are translated into the word love.
Yeah.
Eros, agape, and phileo, all of which have different connotations and different meanings given the context. And so that's why sometimes that question can be a little bit nuanced, because we obviously love something like when you say, hey, I love this hamburger. It's much different than when you look your spouse in the eyes and say, I love you with all my heart. It's obviously huge difference between those 2 things. And in the same way, the scriptures can have different connotations for the word love. But so let me rephrase it and just say, does God equally care about the well-being of every person and desire for them to be reconciled with him so as to love and glorify him in this life and in the life to come? Yes. In other words, I even use Calvinist's own catechism, because I used to have the catechism with my kids back when I was a Calvinist. I was raising my kids with the Calvinist catechism. And the first question is, what is the chief end of man? And the answer for the kids to learn is to love God and glorify him forever. And most Calvinists that you run into, a lot of them will know that. And so I'll ask them, hey, what is the chief end of man? And they'll say, to love God and glorify him forever. And I'll say, for every man? Is that the chief end for every man? Because that's where it gets down to. I believe the chief end, that God's desire for the chief end of every man is to love God and to glorify him forever. In other words, to be in relationship, reconciled, and to be completed, which only can come through reconciliation with Christ. I believe he wants that for every man. Yes, including the Egyptians who drowned in the Red Sea. I believe he wants that, genuinely wants that for every person. So the fact that love has different definitions and connotations depending upon the text that it's being used, for example, the Jacob I loved, Esau I hated passages, which are really talking about the blessings of God for the Israelites versus the Edomites who had cursed the Israelites by attacking them and were now under his wrath and thus his hatred. There are idiomatic uses in which the word hatred is used in both Hebrew and in Greek. We see this in John 14, for example, when he says, if you don't hate your mother and father and your loved ones, you cannot be my disciple. You cannot follow me. It doesn't literally mean to hate yourself and all your loved ones, because the Bible clearly teaches us to honor our parents and to our spouses and others around us.
Yeah.
And so what's idiomatically that talking about? Well, it's talking about choosing to honor one over the other. And so if God tells me to go this way, but my family is saying to go this way, I need to honor God. I need to choose him above my family, which is idiomatically hating them in the sense that I'm not blessing or following their guidance from them, following God above and beyond them. So idiomatically, the word hatred and love sometimes carries a different connotation. And so you have to look at the context of the quotes that have to do with these things. I think there's too many texts which talk about God's mercy being on all of his creation, out of Psalm 145, about his love and his provision for the world, John 3:16, and so many other passages which express God's genuine desire and love for all of his creation.